As the festive season begins, we at Team Shunya have also begun the celebrations. We are celebrating sustainability and the drive to strive towards it. Sustain hopes to ignite curiosity and challenges the status quo. Team Shunya represents a proposition of sustainability. We want to reimagine urban housing. Our vision is to build on tenets of sustainability and harmony with nature. This vision is achieved by a diverse group of people, all united by their aim. We are Team Shunya and we are the future. Team Shunya was started in 2012 in IIT Bombay. We are a team working on sustainable habitat for urbanizing nations by young aspirants. Our vision is to become a leading innovation hub in the field of sustainability by providing accessible housing solutions for society and industry, to build affordable prefabricated net zero solar powered houses, and thus making India's future secure. It all started when a group of highly motivated students decided to participate in the Solar Decathlon, an international competition organized by US Department of Energy, regarded as the Olympics in the global solar energy industry. The challenge here is not only to design but also to build and operate the house. And we proudly say Team Shunya is the only team from India to participate in these competitions in 2014 and 18 building challenges and the 2021 design challenge. Some of these are our past achievements. In 2014, our project H0 was given the honorable mention in sustainability in Solar Decathlon at Versailles, France. And in 2018, the project Solaris received the Best Participation Award in Solar Decathlon at Dessau, China. This year, Team Shunya represented the college in 2021 edition of Solar Decathlon Challenge organized by US Department of Energy. The brainchild project Daksh translates to efficiently deliver a sustainable design to redefine the artist village, a site in Belapur in Navi Mumbai. Team Shunya has evolved to become a close-knit family of 40 plus students across all departments and courses. The team boasts various technical and non-technical subsystems proficient in innovating and implementing the ideas. Since its birth, the team has participated in international competitions, expos, and conducted various webinars and workshops on sustainable development. Here we have a brief overview of what the team does during a competition. First, the tech teams employ different software to design, stimulate, and analyze the project at every milestone, building it from scratch. The architecture subsystem is responsible for understanding and analyzing resident requirements for design development and analysis, while considering aesthetics. It also works on incorporating passive techniques for optimizing energy efficiency into the project plan. The civil subsystem comprises of two internal teams, the structural team, which works on design and safety aspects, and the materials team, which selects efficient materials for the houses. The mechanical subsystem maintains and optimizes the thermal comfort, regulates heat, airflow, ventilation, air conditioning, and plumbing system of the house. The electrical subsystem deals with electrical requirements of the house, such as energy demands, wiring, and home appliances. It is also responsible for designing the PV system to be deployed for powering the house. Finally, during integration, a stimulation of various subsystems is done after using the mentioned software to avoid any conflict while installing the systems on site. Once we are done with the integration, the team undergoes complete construction and safety training to ensure it is ready to build the house. Here, here comes the implementation, which is the best part of the project, as all students are involved in the construction process. All the designs are put to life by the students themselves. All the team members are enthusiastic to learn and actively participate in the project building. The marketing and communication team carries out many activities throughout the year. We participate in various knowledge exchange programs and have interactions with eminent industries. Moreover, we organize various events like webinars and workshops to increase awareness about sustainability and energy efficient technologies and increase our outreach through social media pages. Do check them out, for we post interesting content and news related to sustainable development frequently. Team Shunya received honorable mentions in various national newspapers and gained the attention of many government officials, scientists, and ministers. As this is a huge budget project, we reach out to industries and government sectors for sponsorship and equipments. Below are the sponsors who supported us in 2014. These are the sponsors for the projects in 2018 and 2021. The team takes pride in our faculty advisors and mentors who are always there to motivate us and guide us through our projects. Without them, reaching this far would have been tough. This is all about Team Shunya and how we got so far. We aspire to do more. Thank you. A massive country like India is beginning to take her first steps towards the climate conscious existence. This path will be long and challenging. Designing processes and structures for sustainability will be a key hurdle. A new paradigm has to be developed and which will require its fair share of creativity. Our next talk with Mathura Gode will provide us a glimpse of how researchers are reimagining designs for a greener future. Presenting Madhura Gode. Ma'am.
Thank you, Josh, for the introduction. It's a very commendable job that the team Shunya is doing, and I'm very impressed. More than impressed, I'm very happy to be a part of it for a while. And it's a lot of learning that goes into it, a lot of efforts that goes into it. And it's very commendable job. Here, I like to
Thank you, ma'am.
introduce myself. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Madhura Gori. I have done my architecture and I'm an IGBC AP associate. I like to research over green buildings and sustainability in architecture, as well as some other fields, but I like to focus on architecture being a professional architect. So here we'll begin the presentation. So as you all know, that we are going to talk about sustainability in architecture. I would like to know how, like, as Team Shuna is working and in the same field. So, and Josh has given a nice introduction about the work Team Shunya is doing in sustainability. You must all have got an idea about what sustainability is. So, I'll just begin with the small definition of sustainability. And again, here what the agenda that we are going to have in this session is present in front of you, that we are going to talk about sustainability, green architecture, its scope in India, and the green buildings in India. We have always talked about the architecture, the green architecture, the sustainability that is taking place and booming up abroad. But what about India? So that's what we are going to talk about today. What is sustainability? Is it just making green buildings, having plants? What is it like? For what is it? I would like to know everyone's view about it.
Topic, topic, please.
Uh, I'm sorry.
No, am not fully aware of the topic.
Oh,
That's what
sure.
topic.
Okay.
Yes, the topic.
Okay. I'll introduce it. Then sustainability is basically an concept of using the resources which are available today in a way that our future generation can also use it properly. Uh, so this is Webster's definition, very framed definition, and these are very much framed definitions of sustainability. But in simple language, it's like you use something today, but make sure that your future generation can also use it. If I give an example, like the fossil fuels, the coal, and other replenishable substances or other resources that can't be replenished, like are something that we are using today, and we don't know after next 10 years will we be really able to use them, because they were used in such a way, in a huge quantity, that now replenishing them will take thousands of years. So now we need to think that how do we reuse the resources that are available today. So that's what is sustainability about. So sustainability, what goes into it? Now these are some few parameters. There are many parameters that go into it. There are many subdivisions, but on a broader aspect, sustainability takes up all these things: water and water saving, water conservation, water reuse, then waste management, the waste that is generated in creating new buildings, new structures, all those kind of waste also account to be managed. So when a building is created, that doesn't, it has to be an end-to-end solution. There has to be an end-to-end solution to the creation, to the disposal of it. So that also accounts in sustainability. Then creation of green space, energy savings, energy efficiency. So these are a few parameters on which we work with sustainability. So now when this concept came to India, it was in 1990s, and it arrived to India around 1990s, and then in 2001 there was the first green building that was constructed, that was at Bangalore. And now we have around 6,500 of green projects currently. So this is the growth that we are having, and yes, it's pacing up, and it's very nice to have an exponential growth. So during the start there was very less, but now we are having a nice exponential growth. So we are looking forward to many green buildings in future. Why do we need sustainability? Why do we need a sustainable development? So first is the demands. Though there's a population rise, that means we need more infrastructure, we need more amount of housing, when there is more amount of housing, we need more amount of corridors, more public transport, metros, ports, more infrastructure that goes in, more commercial spaces. So that's how the demand is increasing. But at the same time, what are we losing? What are we losing right now? Is the air quality, the land, the water. You know how right now we are having so less water resources. The groundwater table has gone so down that in next 10 years we need to really search for some option that we get at least fresh water to drink. So this is the reason why we need to start a sustainable development now. It has already started, but now we need to take it more seriously, and it is going to give us more better results. What is a green building? So green building is not what actually looks green, but there is much more that goes into a green building than just green. So green building is something which conserves natural resources. So if we are using some materials which are already available nearby, rather than creating new materials to build a building, to build a structure, that is what goes first in a green building. Then the next is it uses less water. The water used for maintenance of the building, at the same time the fixtures used, everything counts. The energy optimization, the amount of light that is required? Is it artificially lit, or does it have a huge amount of natural lighting that saves us from using the artificial lighting? It is the one which generates less waste and provides healthier spaces. This is also an important point. The building should be habitable for the people who are residing in. It's not just about the environment benefits that you are getting over here, but also the health benefits that a person should be getting. So everyone knows here that there are 5 elements in nature, and India being having a background where we are culturally so rich that the architecture that has went through the history has taken up all these and balanced them in a way that you have seen the marvels of architecture, the forts, the 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 traditional architecture. Have you ever, I think it's very less amount of time that you could see a fan place somewhere, or you will need an artificial lighting at at places like this. If you visit an old house like with a courtyard, maybe maybe in your native. So there are a few houses in I've seen in Kerala as well, and even in Konkan. So there are courtyards. Why are they? We have these elements balanced in it. There is an element of earth. We leave some space of earth inside our house as well. Then there's place of fire, water, air, the air circulation, the openness, the daylighting. All these 5 elements, when are balanced, we get a good air ventilation, energy efficiency, water conservation, and a good indoor environment quality. So what is the difference between a green building and conventional building? It doesn't appear to be green. It doesn't appear to be something cladded with vertical walls, vertical green walls. They both look alike. Both of them functional alike. You won't notice a difference between a green building and a conventional building just by looking at it. So what makes it different? The differences are the operational costs that go from day one. So these operational costs include your energy bills, the electricity that goes in, then the water. It is also important. And then there is HVAC, which is also a major part of a green building, of any building, I would say. HVAC, the amount of HVAC used, the amount of energy that goes into maintaining the HVAC is a very huge amount. So that is also something which makes a difference from day one. Then it conserves natural resources. The material that goes in the green building, it's at times it is recycled one. It is at times a reused one. So these things count. These small things together, they count and make a green building. And obviously, you get a human comfort and productivity and a good indoor environmental quality. Now, this is something that an architect, in combination with the civil engineer, the developer, has to work with, because we need to design something that would give us everything like this. So what are the benefits of a green building? Why should one go for a green building and not a conventional one? First one is the operating cost, which we just talked about. You have a chance to save your energy bills up to 30 to 50%. Now, this is a huge, you get discounts in when there are sale, or when there is an offer. You get huge discounts, and we get pepped up with, like, I want to buy this. Maybe this is the time. So this is something like that. Energy savings, water savings are something that is a huge uh, incentive to go for a green building. There are many other incentives as well, but these are the tangible ones. You can count them. And why won't anyone like to save their energy? When economy as a factor comes in, that is when you actually start counting. And this is where it shows. So these are a few benefits, and here these are a few intangible benefits. You may not be able to count them, but then you will be able to feel them as well. So here you actually get an indoor air quality. So would you like to stay at a place which is most of the time artificially ventilated, or would you like to stay at a place for a longer time where it is naturally ventilated, where you get a nice combination of artificial and natural as well at times? I think one would prefer to have a combination of artificial and natural, or a natural, than just being in an artificially ventilated space. Yes, because that improves our productivity, that gives us a connection to the nature, to the outside world. Staying at a place where for a longer time, where we don't feel the connect outside, we don't see the sun, we don't see the environment outside, we don't see the nature outside. May it be anything. So may it be amount of buildings that are outside, or the sky that is outside, we don't feel the connect of the entire day. But here, if we plan accordingly, we can feel the connect. We know that we are connected to the outside world. We don't get the boredom of being in the same place, in the same kind of a controlled environment. Obviously, you get a controlled environment in this as well, but this one is a more comforting environment. So why don't people go for green buildings if there are so many benefits? One reason, that I would say initial building cost is a little higher, but then we'll talk about this in a further slide. So this is one reason why people think, no, the initial cost for construction is higher than a conventional building, so I'll go for a conventional building. But the incremental cost, which comes with the maintenance of the building, of a conventional building, is always high than the cost of a green building. That is something, that is a calculation that one should definitely do. So these are the cost and cost of the green buildings. So this is the percentage increase in cost. So you see this, the quoted GBC at Hyderabad. It's a platinum rated building, the first building. It's a Godrej GBC center, and then it has an increase of 18% than a conventional building. So that was made in 2003. And its payback period. So to pay these extra 18%, it took 7 years. Yes, it was an investment, but an investment for good purpose. Then as you see, go down the years till 2017, you see that the incremental cost, like the increase in cost here is 1.1%. So I think this is something which is really great about this, that we are doing a research over materials, research over techniques to have green buildings in India. And when we see the reduction in the increased cost than a conventional building, and the payback period is also reduced to 2.5 years, it is it is a really great thing to go for. Now, why is it happening so? Like, everything is the same. What is changing? Why is the cost? Why is there a difference in this cost? Why is it not 18% constant? The reason is this. These are just a few examples of the major materials. So when in 2003 the first building was constructed, the waterless urinals costed 15K per unit. And now in 2018, they cost just 3K. The reason is there is an awareness that is growing among individuals, among developers, among architects, among designers about green buildings, about sustainability. And the manufacturers are now manufacturing in India as well. So that makes us easy to get these materials at a very cheaper cost. Now, these materials were procured from other countries. Most of them are procured from other countries. Now, India also makes them. So this really helps us reduce the cost and then reduce the payback period. This not only helps us reduce the payback period, but it also helps Indian industries to go ahead. It helps the Indian economy as well. Again, with maintaining the health of the country, the environment of the country. So it is a profit situation which we can see in next 5 to 10 years for our manufacturers as well as the designers as well as the developers. I'll come to the developers part as well. But yes, for our environment, it's a very, very good thing. Now, this is just a timeline. You can see that in 2003 to 2005, a green building was like a green image. Something just, it's a green building. You can see there are many plants, there are many vertical gardens, terrace gardens. But what goes into it? What is it? At the same time, there is no payback period till that time. Like in 2 years, you won't get something. If the building was built in 2003, as we could see right now, it took 7 years that time. But when it came to 2005 to 2008, the payback became evident. And then now, since 2009, there is a customer-driven approach now. People want to go for green buildings because they make the structure a differentiator now. You can differentiate a conventional building to a green building. It's a brand. It's becoming a brand that you are working for the environment, you are working for the green sector, you are working for the sustainability. You are working on sustainability. You're carrying that approach. It's a brand. It's becoming a brand. And that is what is important right now, to get to get the sustainability factor in India. What does these did? What green buildings did differently? Like, then demands are the same. If I need 5 liters of water a day, other person is also going to need the same. So what is the difference? Like in a basic maths. So this is the basic maths that go in when a green building is made. There's the light fixtures are something which are taken care of. The HVAC is something that is taken care of. How is it taken care of? So the fixtures, as you, I think all of us know, there was a time when we used to use CFLs, then we switched to LEDs. Before that, we used to have filament bulbs, filament lights. Now that we are exploring new things, new methods to save energy as well as to give a maximum output, we are saving on this. Now light is one aspect, HVAC. So once you design a building which requires less of an artificial ventilation, you have open spaces, you don't have long spaces where one has to where one needs definitely a artificial ventilation, where you have blocked spaces. We design spaces which can be naturally ventilated, which won't require long pipes to get the fresh air. So that is how we save. This is again the electric, as I said, the air conditioning demand. So in the same, if you see in the same tonnage, you can ventilate an 600 square feet of area, and here you can ventilate just 150 square feet of area. And how is this possible? That is because of designing. Now this is how where the designing plays a major role. So this is just an overview of how what goes into green buildings. Lighting. Of course, we used to have the filament bulbs, even the tube lights, and now we are switching to LEDs. Water consumptions. We have fixtures are which consume very less water, giving us the same amount of surface to use. So even in showers now there are different kind of showers that come in. There are different kind of taps that come in, which give us the same amount of water surface with a lesser quantity. So we save on water. Now you see these roofs in a conventional building were used for utilities. So most of these utilities uh, were for HVAC as well as the cooling towers. But here we are designing it in a way that we use solar panels as well as a green roof. So a green roof also plays a major role in bringing down the heat absorption. If the heat absorption of the building is less, you won't need an artificial ventilation to that amount. At the same time, it has its own benefits. Now, the question is, there are so many types of buildings. How do we rate them? If I say I want to rate a bungalow as well as I want to rate a commercial complex, both of the requirements are different. So there are these different rating system. There are 28 building typologies that we go through. We refer to those, and that's how the ratings are done. And these are a few standard baselines of ratings. So there's NBC, from where we have guidelines for building structures. Then there is ECBC, RECs, the Uniform Plumbing Code of India. We already have all these set. All we need to do is go through them and choose sustainability. So, you must have seen a few buildings, or there could be a few buildings that you might have visited, and you might have noticed these, or you might remember. Like, I visited this building, which is a commercial complex at Seawoods. It is a platinum rated building. So this is something. So what they have done is they have marketed this building with an IGBC platinum rating in their entryway. So this is something that adds on to their own prestige as well. You remember that this is something which has a brand. So this is how green buildings are getting their brand. These are a few levels of certification. There is gold, silver, platinum, gold, silver, and a certified building. So it is the range starts from a certified one to a platinum one. Now coming to another part of it. So before this, I would like to know if there are any questions from the viewers, because this is an entirely different. Now, what I'll be talking about is a different segment. So I'd like to know if someone has any doubts about green buildings, and I'd like to know if there are any.
I have one question.
Yes.
Like you explained the codes or ratings for the green buildings in the previous
Uh-huh.
slide. So whether those codes are ratings are available for commercial and industrial buildings only, or those are available for residential buildings as well. Because
Okay.
when we search for such codes, their preference is for commercial buildings as compared to residential.
Okay. So thank you for the question. That is a very valid question, I feel, because many of us have seen commercial buildings, or some school buildings, as well as or health buildings or industrial buildings, as you say. So there are residential buildings as well. There are green homes, there are residential societies, there are affordable housings. So these are again the segments, the parameters that are created just for residential, purely residential ones. Even a smallest of a bungalow, or smallest of a house of about 1,000 square feet to 2,000 square feet can go for this. Even 1,000 square feet can go for this. There is no restriction on any kind of building, because this majorly covers every kind of environment. So not only residential but also built environment. So there are green campuses. As you can see, there are many campuses out there, college campuses, there are township campuses, there are gardens, there are landscapes, and many cities. Like, there are even cities built, so even the outer environment is also considered over here. Then there are transit oriented developments as well. So these are railway stations, metro stations, airports, the educational buildings, the hospitality buildings, as well as the healthcare buildings. Then the industrial buildings, factory buildings, warehouses, and commercial, as most of us have known that commercial buildings, yes, there are many. There are 8 of the types of commercial buildings, the green interiors, existing and new buildings are also both differently addressed over here. Yes, so we have, so there is everything that is there for all kind of building.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so can we move ahead? Or anyone wants to say something or ask something? Okay, we'll just move ahead. And if something, if you want to ask something, we can have a session after this as well. So, how do you register the project? How do you get the certificate? So, this is just a process of how we register. So, this is the site where you go for registration, which is igbc.in, and you get these as the guidelines for a project. So when should a project be registered? When can we register project? बनने के बाद या बनने से पहले? How do we do it? So we can do it at any stage. If I want to register a project which is already built, so I can do that. Yes, for that the existing, so as we saw the 28 parameters where we are addressing the buildings, that will come in the existing one, not a new one. So that is the difference, but we can register at any stage. So the best stage to register is when the building is yet to be designed. That is when, in the designing process, that is when it should be registered ideally. So क्या फर्क पड़ेगा उससे? What is the benefit that we are going to get out of it? The benefit that we get here is these two free CIRs. Now, what is the CIRs? The credit interpretation rulings. In simple language, you get someone to help you out with it from the IGBC team. So these that person would, in simple language, would help you out in knowing the terms, the points, the how to get your building a green building registration, how to make your building a green building. This is how they will tell you. Like maybe there could be a way via energy efficiency. There could be a way via water savings. There could be a way via landscaping. There could be different ways, or you can get a combination of these ways. And these two free CIRs at first help you out with, you get two doubt solving kind of interactions with them. So this is how you get to design your project as well. So in the designing stage is always helpful. And after that, the two CIRs, you have paid CIRs later, but then mostly the two CIRs are enough. It depends upon how you use the CIRs. So that is a in-depth scenario, but this is an overview of how you register your project. You go to the site, you register your project name, you register every credentials, you get the two CIRs, and you can register at any stage. This stage is the designing stage, when the building is yet in design process. So you can do the changes accordingly. You don't have a restriction over any kind of change. So these are the parameters where one building gets rated. So there is sustainable architecture and design. There's site selection and planning, water conservation, energy efficiency, building material resources, innovation. So every parameter has its own explanation. So designing is something what I was talking about, the designing factor. Like once you are in designing stage, you can design and think about it in a sustainable way. Do I need to put this window over here? Or do I need one more extra window? Or do I need the height of window in a different level? So these are the small things that come into designing as well. So this is where the points are given. Site selection and planning. Even the site selection plays an important role. If there is a water body in the site, how are you conserving it? If there are some flora that is blooming, if there is some kind of trees that are there on the site which are important to our biodiversity, how are we planning to restore them? So that goes here for site selection. Water conservation. So what kind, it's not about the kind of, not only about the kind of fixture, but the kind of tanks, how are we using those tanks, the fixtures, and then are we going for a STP, sewage water treatment. Then there's energy efficiency. Now you see energy efficiency is rated as 28, like the maximum points go for the energy efficiency, because this is a major turning point in any building. We use so much of energy into running a building that affects a lot. As you can see, we could save 30 to 50% when we make a conventional building into a green building. So that is where energy efficiency plays a major role. Then the building material, indoor environmental quality, innovation development. So innovation development is basically if you have something different which is not yet tried out. If you design something which is different, so even points for that is given. And there is mandatory requirements of 10. Like if you don't even cross, like you need to cross to 10 at least to go ahead at the first stage. So these are the ratings, and as per the points they are rated. So the maximum is a platinum rating, which is 75 to 100. You can go through this. Like 40 to 45 is a certified one, 50 to 59 is a silver certification, then 60 to 74 is a gold certification, and above 75 it's a platinum certification. So like again, one of the reasons that I was talking about, that why should one go for a green building and not for a conventional one? Obviously we have reasons of maintaining the environment, and we have reasons to conserving energy, conserving water. But what can be the other reasons that will drive an individual to go for it? Another reason is that if a building is pre-certification is something, so if a building is in designing stage, like if you are designing a building and you get it pre-certified, I'm making a green building, please give me a certificate. So this is how you get a certificate. So in simple language, this is how you get a certificate, a pre-certificate. And with that pre-certificate, you get many other benefits from the government, which you won't get otherwise. So this is what the profit that the developers and the tenants, the financiers can get. And after the building is completed, you go for the final certification. So this pre-certification process has to be updated every 6 months. So it's not that you get a pre-certificate and then you enjoy the benefits. No, you get the pre-certificate, and after every 6 months you have to show that you're working in the same lines of a green building. And so basically you have to ensure that you are going to make this structure as a green building every 6 months till you uh, finish the project. Now this is a flow chart of how you get the IGBC certification. So here you register at this website, then you submit the documents, and then there is a third party, there's an accessor who comes for a review, and then the review was done at the place and it is submitted to the project team with the IGBC for the final review. If they verify, then they verify it in the next 30 days and they announce the rating. And if you happen to not like the rating, which is equally possible, that there's equally possible to think that there is something that I have done over here, but it's not rated properly. You can ask for a re-evaluation within 30 days of the announcement of the rating. So, which would again uh, go for re-evaluation with the IGBC team, and they would re-evaluate with another accessor, with another person who has reviewed it. So there is no chance of uh, having some discrepancies over here. So this whole process goes about for 3 months if there is a re-evaluation, or about 2 months. Now, what is the validity of a certificate? So for all buildings, the validity is up to 3 years, after which you have to go for a re-evaluation or the validity ends. So you need to go for re-evaluation to check the uh, if the building is again in the same maintained condition. And for built environments, which are the campuses, which could be parks, which could be uh, campuses of residential buildings, which could be again some cities, some entire cities. So the outdoor environment, they have a validity for 5 years. And pre-certification, which we get in the designing phase, is valid for 3 years, but then it has to be a 6-month report has to be sent to the certification team. Now majorly come to the benefits. What are the benefits of actually getting your building certified? So these are a few benefits, like why? Because everyone knows that yes, this is going to be a green building. There are going to be factors which would conserve water, which will be environment friendly. But what are the other factors which we get, which will drive the people to get their building certified? Are these the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, they they offer fast track clearances to the project. So at times you see then some projects are stuck because we don't get environment clearances. Here we get the environment clearances very quickly. It is not that you don't need a clearance, but then as we have a pre-certificate, we get the clearances very easily. Refinancing the competitive interest rate. So the Sunref Affordable Green Housing India program. This program gives the tenants and the developer as well, who is targeting for a green residential project, a loan at very nominal interest rate. So these majorly targets the economically weaker section, LI, low income group to middle income group category of housing. Now, at times the developers of such project also get the cost of IGBC certification. So there's a cost that one pays. So there's some amount of cost that one pays for the certification as well. So even that is reimbursed in such cases, that you get the certification cost. So you get the certificate for free, in simple language. You get that cost refunded. So by the SunLife Affordable Green Housing Program. Now, specifically for the government of Maharashtra, there are many things offered by different governments. Now, these are again posted at the IGBC website. But now, specifically talking about government of Maharashtra, the Urban Development Department offers an additional FAR of 3% to 7% to silver, gold, platinum rated buildings. So, like for silver rated building, it's 3%, gold it's 5%, and platinum it's 7%. The PMCs, the PMC, that's the Pune Municipal Corporation, and the Metropolitan Region also offers the same. And the PWD, Department of Government of Maharashtra, also gives the benefits of the same. So when there are renovations of building, as you can see, mostly in Mumbai, there are buildings which are getting renovated. Then there are buildings uh, which have been, which are now going for an entire uh, renovation. The residential complexes. So it helps in those aspects as well. So, are any questions? Am I audible?
You can answer those questions which were shared in the sheet.
Okay. Yes. So, I've received 2 questions from the registration form. So, first one was how to visualize the scope of the project. I'll just read out the question. This is how you visualize the scope and progress of sustainability designing in coming 5 to 10 years, specifically in India, with its own different climatic zones, going on with growing economy of India on global scale. So it's a good question again. Uh, So answering this, like most one of the pointers covered in this slide is in next 5 to 10 years, green building is something which is going to be marketed as a brand, and with this you are getting many different perks of designing, and as well as perks to a developer, which would definitely cover up for the economic factor of the cost that goes into the building. So there is a profitable situation which is going to come up in the next future in case of the growing economy of India. It not only serves for this particular industry, but also another industry, which is the manufacturing industry. So if we have many manufacturers coming up which provide for the material that goes into the green building, so may it be plumbing materials. So there are many brands which are getting their own factories set up in India, or their local Indian brands which are boosting up to make such equipments which are, if we're talking about plumbing itself, the local brands which are boosting up to make the fixtures uh, low water wasting fixtures. this is about plumbing, then there are about lightings and HVAC as well. So these are allied industries which would grow, and economy will also be grown with them. There's another question, which is, apart from EV, what are the other projects or startups you are expecting, like dry car wash without single drop of water? So this person is doing a research. This person is doing an R&D about this. Okay, so this is a little different from architecture, but it's a very nice question. I'm very glad to know that he or she is doing a research over this topic, which is very appreciable. Okay, so with dry car wash, I would say that uh, I mean, I'm not much. Uh, I have not done an R&D over this, but I would. There are definitely expect new things that are coming up in industries as well. So maybe the car industry, or there'll be any other industries. So there are things coming up which would serve for a sustainable industrial development in India. Okay. Uh, so there's one more small presentation about a few case studies. So uh, that would show you that we are progressing for a greener future. So I would like to present them. So this is again a newly rated building. This is TCS Indore. Now this has a 100-acre campus, and uh, the construction began in 2013. It is around 1 million square feet, and it holds a seating capacity of about 10,000 people. So, and these are a few overviews that they have, uh, that they have used over here. That is, they are saving 57% of water through efficient irrigation, and there is STP water reutilization that is being done at the site. There is now energy efficiency. So they are using the solar PV system on the roof. Then the envelope, the building envelope also plays a major role. So the glass that has been used uh, is also something which would reduce the heat gain inside the building. So as you can see, there are many glass facades used, but then the building heats up, like the room heats up, and that's how we need more of more of an efficient HVAC, and then the then the energy is all gone into the artificial ventilation. So that's how we waste our energy. But then when we use such facades which won't heat up the interiors of a room, we save on the artificial ventilation. And they have used LED based interior lightings. Then the resource management. Now the resource management, what goes into the resource is the one is the resource that is needed to construct the building, and another is the waste that is generated after the building is constructed. So 80% of the construction waste was managed on site. As I have said earlier, it is not about the materials that go into the building, but the waste that is generated, how is it disposed of? It has to be an end-to-end process. So 80% of the construction waste was managed on site. So when the waste, which is where there is a glass waste as well, there is a waste uh, of unused. There's a waste of unused cement, or there's a waste of mortars, bricks. Now these are used again on the site itself in a way, in bits and pieces, that you don't need to cut another new material for that. Now this is something what the PMC does. So this is project management. So that's how one has to even manage the project. So it is, you can see now that this is a role of the designer first to design the building. Then even to design, then the developer who is going to invest in it. Then comes the person who is going to help in constructing it. Then there's always the structural engineers who make it possible. Then there are, while constructing it, then there are the project managers who take care of these things on site, like the construction waste, how it is managed. It is because of these people. So it is an collaborative effort of all of these sectors together. I may have missed out if any sector, but these are the major sectors, and all of the efforts goes in to make this possible. These are a few other pictures. Now this is again the housing. So we have not we are still coming up with this sector in housing. We have seen many in commercial, as we saw the previous example. So this is a Tata housing at Bangalore. It is a platinum rated building. So water management is something that we have major. These are the major features. So basically there are kind of flows that we get in water fixtures as well. There's aerating flow, there is laminar flow. So aerating flow, laminar flow. So this is how you basically choose your fixtures as well. It can reduce up to like 20 to 30% of your water consumption. And 100% of the treated water, the water that comes from the STP, is used for irrigation, for the landscape irrigation. Now, energy efficiency. There is 18% savings on overall electric bills. Now, the bills which are there in the corridor spaces, the entryways, hallways. And there are electric charging stations. Yes, people are now India is coming up with EVMs. That will definitely take some time, but then yes, it is coming up. So even these are considered, and the provision is already made for them. Now how far that will go, but yes, the provision is made. Then there's a resource management. So as I said, how do you retain the site is also important. So 26% of the natural topography. So if there is a hill at the site, how do you use the hill without having to cut it or flatten the entire land? Because even that counts. If you maintain that kind of a topography, the kind of levels, the kind of depth, if the site is at a little at a depth, then the road level or something, how do you manage that without disturbing the levels much? So that is counted. 70% of the area is provided as open space, and low VOC paints are used. So these, most of the times when there's the painting work is done at our homes, at times you get the smell, which is actually for some people it's an allergic smell. Towards a longer run, it becomes a problem. We don't recognize it, we don't realize it, but then that also affects our health to a greater extent. So use of a low VOC paint is also something very important. These are few photographs of the same site. As you see, it looks like a normal building, like a normal conventional building. But how it operates, it's what makes it a green building. So this is where I end my presentation. And I would like to know if anyone has any questions, any doubts, and anything to say. Aren't there any questions? Yes.
Yeah. So in a previous section, you explained about that uh, certification process and
Yes.
pre-approval before the design or in the design phase itself. So while designing, is there any specific considerations which we will have to follow so that while applying we will get that certification, or
So
they will
my
just check for the values at the end?
So yes, there are specific constraints that one has to follow. Thank you for the question. So the constraints are those depend upon a 28 parameters. So I just present it. So as you can see, uh, for pre-certification. So if for example, if there is a new commercial building which is coming up and it's in a design phase, so there are a few parameters which are written inside this itself. So the amount of energy that it should be using, so it starts from the land. So how much land are you conserving? What is the topography that you're maintaining? So if the land is undulating, so there's a huge difference. So are you cutting it down, bringing to a level, or you're maintaining that? So that is also a parameter where you need, there's a constraint. So if you just so for everyone they are different. So just for an example, if they say it's 30% of the maximum 30% is what you can change, so that is a constraint over there. If you go for 35% change or 50% change, like if it's this, you go for 30% change, you get it, you get the points. If you go for more than that, like you go for 50% change over here, so you won't get the points over there for that particular mark, like for that particular section in this particular uh, rating. So there are sections such, like, now this is one section where I'm talking about the site planning. So the next section, as you see, so there could be 1 point or half point for that particular thing. Then there is water conservation. So there is a requirement of certain percentage of water to be conserved, or certain fixtures to be used, or certain type of fixtures to be used which conserve certain amount of water. There is a use of STP. What is the STP size you're using for the occupancy, like number of occupants, what is STP size you're using? So that is how the constraints coming. So these are the guidelines that goes in. So if that is met, you get that much amount of points. If that is met entirely, you get the entire set of points. If that is met halfly, you may get half of the points. So that is how you get the points in each of the sectors over here. And those are the constraints that you have to work upon when you go for pre-certification. And this is the profit that one gets, right? You are designing and you can cross check then and there that is it meeting, you can rework, is it meeting the constraint, is it meeting the requirement? And then you can go for, you have higher possibility to get a platinum rating by then, which is a little low when you already have a building like made, and then you need to rework them. So it's a little more challenging. It is not impossible, but it is definitely a little more challenging when the structure is already made. Yes. So did my answer like solve the question, solve it out?
Yeah. So there is some sort of rule book which defines we will get some specific points, and based
Yes.
on that we will have to decide which points we have to earn, and we will have to file the certificate for the certification.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So there are 28 such books which are available for each of the different category of buildings.
Okay. Right.
So how can we get further group invites, or you have any groups for this?
Uh, um, Sorry, can you please repeat the question?
No, this is not related to technical. I'm asking, is there any further uh, uh, meeting invites? How can we get that, or you have any groups?
Okay, would you like to know more about this sector? For are you talking about this sector, or is it for the management team of Team Shunya?
Team Shuni.
Okay.
I didn't understand the question. Could you repeat?
Further meeting group invites. How can we get? That's what I'm asking.
Hello, Vinod. Hi. Sorry this is our last meet for the. If there are any open meets outside the campus, we will just post it in social media handles. You can keep following us.
Okay, which one I have to follow?
Instagram or Facebook, you can follow. You can go and search our Team
Oh.
Shindra.
Okay. Shall we get this presentation copies like anything?
Could you repeat once again?
No. Shall we get this? You have presented, right? Presentation copies like this for our reference.
We can share them.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am, for coming. Thank you, ma'am, for your time. I'm sure everyone enjoyed the session as much as I did. Ma'am, you're muted.
Ma'am, you are muted if you are speaking.
It was a pleasure to be a part of this particular event, and I thank Team Shunya for inviting me to give this presentation. And it was nice to have all the questions coming up. It shows how uh, everyone is interested. It's very nice to know that the amount of brains that are going in, the amount of thinking that is going in. And I would like to appreciate Team Shunya for all of the efforts that it is taking up to build a environment, build a developing economy via the youth as a self initiative. It's a big thing. I would like to appreciate Team Shunya for all the effort that is taking